Having a hanging pool in your home actually makes your house more stable when it comes to earthquakes. If you don't believe me, check this out. Imagine that the water in this glass is the water in your pool. And when I shake it, it acts as a counterbalance. When I shake it to the left, the water goes right. When I shake it to the right, the water goes left. And this concept is very similar to those buildings in Japan where they're very earthquake prone and nilalagyan nila ng heavy balls na parang pendulum sa taas ng structure nila so that when the building shakes, the heavy pendulum acts as a counterbalance, minimizing the shake of the building. So that's why a hanging pool can actually make your home a little bit more stable when it comes to earthquakes. The more you know. In this episode, we are going to be talking about your most asked questions when it comes to the Skypod 2.0 is how we make it float and how we make it safe. So for those of you who are just curious, or for those of you who are thinking of building a home on a cliff face or a very sloping house, or you want that floating look, this is the video to watch. This video is sponsored by Notion. Notion is by far my most used and my favorite productivity app. So this is my current desk setup. Main computer here, and on the side are all the chat apps. Simple press of a hotkey and I'm in Notion. I use it to structure my life. Meron siyang calendar, meron siyang to-do list, meron siyang boards, but it's very, very flexible and moldable to whatever task you want to accomplish. I'll put a link down below. It's free to try, guys. I tried this for I think around 5-6 months before I actually subscribed when I was a power user na. So I'll quickly show you how I use it and how it has made my life so much easier. If you can see on the right hand side, I have my project Monterrazas Prime. We use this for our weekly meetings, and you can have different types of views. This is a dummy, by the way, because we have a lot of sensitive topics. But for example, okay, weekly meeting. Our weekly meetings are always on Thursdays. I can go back to what we talked about in those meetings, and I can click one and I have all the structure of what we need. And this would be linked to our team members, so everything here is paperless and they can put notes, okay, this is done. So it makes coordination a lot easier. And what we can do for next week's meeting is just duplicate the weekly meeting from last week and then just copy and place it there. So that's how we do a simple meeting agenda. I also have all my other companies, Lightblock. So this is just an example of how I manage these YouTube videos, my Instagram posts, and when to schedule them properly. So for example, I have brands here that I'm working with, and then what agency they're in. You can put in attachments from here, drag and drop files and upload, for example, here. Okay, this is a MOA, for example, and it just uploads to the cloud. That makes things a lot easier. The best part about this is, if you notice, there's project status, so I know if this is a project I just accepted. I can place, okay, waiting for MOA. Okay, I just placed in the MOA, accepted and ongoing. And when it's finished, I can put, okay, close forwarded to accountant or close forwarded to Chris, because sometimes Chris and I work on projects together and she has Notion as well, so I can click forward to Chris and it instantly disappears because I placed the filter. It gets intuitive the more you use it, and it even has several different views. You can view it via calendar, you can view it via board view, which you can transfer things around, and so much more. That's why I said it's kind of hard to explain what Notion really is, aside from saying it's the best productivity app, because it's so much more than that. You can have to-do lists, you can manage your team with it, you can put like quotations here, you can organize basically all aspects of your life using Notion. So that's why I use it. Okay, floating house. This is the house in question. If I zoom in, ito yung mga houses na sinasabi na parang lumulutang yung bahay. Is it safe? Is it safe from earthquakes, from landslide? And yes, it is. There are a lot of steps that we did to make sure this is safe, but mostly it is just a visual illusion. Let me explain further. Diba yung building, every day we see it and we feel that it's safe. We go inside high-rise buildings without a problem. And what we did here is something very similar to that. Because although sloping siya, and makikita nyo it's just 3 stories with stilts, para lang talaga siyang 6-story building or 5-story building na a lot of it is underground lang. If we were to take these out, and even one more floor, hanggang dito lang siya, and may pool ka dyan, ganyan, magmukha na siyang floating. But it's the same concept. All the other floors lang ay nasa underground. In short, to make this happen, we had to dig deeper than usual para it's not nakapatong lang sa topsoil. So that's one visual illusion. The second illusion we did is that we're used kasi to seeing yung mga houses na yung mga lower floors, meron talagang walls. And if for example, meron kang high-rise building, pero yung the last few floors, wala siyang laman, magmukha siyang floating and magmukha siyang unstable. But in theory, wala lang siyang walls. So that's what we did. And if you see closely, that is exactly what is happening here. This one seems like it's floating and it seems like it's on stilts. But to be honest, it's just walang walls yung structure na to. Although this is just a rendering. Just imagine it to have walls. Diba sa isip natin, mas mukha siyang solid, mas mukha siyang more stable. But again, it's just a visual illusion because what makes the house strong is actually just the columns and the beams, and of course, the footing below. So that is the visual illusion element of that. But there's more things to consider. The second thing we considered is soil-bearing capacity, or how strong the soil is in the site. So we had a soil boring test. They actually drill through layers of soil underground and they test kung ano talaga ang capacity ng soil. So a typical residential project yung nakikita natin sa city, the normal one would be around 3,000 PSF. That's standard. Itong project na to, we have gotten test results as high as 14,000, meaning it's rock hard talaga. So we were very happy with that result. And even though kailangan namin ng heavy equipment na ngayon just to excavate that part kasi it's really, really rock hard. So that is when we decided, okay, this design is feasible for this area. But, daming but. But, meron pa kaming maraming ginagawa to make sure hindi naman mag-landslide. So a lot of you guys actually asked me, Slater, how is it safe from landslide? Well, again, the soil-bearing capacity helps a lot. But also, nilalagyan namin ng tinatawag natin na retaining walls. So, let's say for example, meron tong slope dito. Itong wall na to and wall portions here actually have retaining walls. So yung retaining wall are walls that are designed to push back on the soil behind it, and this wall would help make sure everything here stays where it should be. Itong other parts of the soil will find a way in the future to do either just planting trees just to make sure hindi siya mag-e-erode. But we'll see what happens first on site if nag-e-erode ba talaga to in the future. But when we can see na umuulan, makikita na talaga, oh, this part needs soil protection. Ang tawag dyan, soil protection. Another thing we did to be extra sure na gusto ko kasi na makakatulog ako mismo as the builder or the homeowner in the future. Makakatulog ako at night whenever there's like big typhoons, mga lindol and everything, is that we increased our factor of safety. Now, every house should be built in the standard of the National Structural Building Code. Meron tayong mga code dyan to make sure all our houses can survive earthquakes. But we increase the factor of safety. So if you see on site, makikita nyo these massive columns na it's very similar to mga big malls or high-rise buildings na even though it's just a 4-story house, makikita natin na ang laki ng mga columns and beams namin dun. So that is one thing na we wanted to make sure that we'll be able to sleep soundly at night. And for those asking kung safe ba yung mga big glass panels na ginagamit namin, yung mga suppliers natin for this house are the ones that install for high-rises in Cebu and other parts of the country. So if kaya man yung glass in mga high-rise buildings, all the more kaya dito in our comparatively smaller project. So that's it, guys. I hope I answered the safety concerns of this house, and I hope this inspires you na as long as we stick to the building codes, as long as we stick to no shortcuts, just good quality construction, a lot of the things that we think are medyo impossible ay possible pala. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you later.